Is Janet from another planet? 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 Is Janet from another planet?
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. Tonight, I'm going to share a few things about the Biden laptop and the controversy it caused. And then we're going to play the documentary that was made about the laptop. And I will stop it and, for questions and things like that. But it's very, very interesting how this whole thing unfolded, starting with when the leaks started happening with underage girls and nudity and drugs and, just different things like that. And everybody kept saying it wasn't real, it wasn't real. And then it's used in court to prove that he was, had weapons and things like that on his gun charge. So it was used in court, and which proved it was real. So even though the FBI under Biden administration swore that it was fake Russian information, and Giuliani basically got rolled over the coals. He got sued out the wazoo. I mean, all kinds of stuff was happening with people, yet they demanded that it wasn't fake, that it was a real, that the information wasn't real. It was from the Russians. But now it's proven that it is real. Everything on it was authentic. And I'm going to show a few little articles at first, and then we're going to go on to the documentary, which is very, very well done, I feel. But I will share links to all of it so you can look up your own stuff. Anything that you guys want to look up, you can. But I was going to say hi to everybody. Thank you, Jackie. I know that, you don't get to stay on as long as you'd like, but thank you for stopping in. And this I shared earlier, because it is the Friday Night Shit Show at gmail.com. That is where, if you want to send me anything that you think would be good information for a show, or that you want to be on, like after hours, and I can interview you about whatever project you have going on, or what's going on interesting in your life or whatever, I'd be happy to have you on the show. I love interviewing people, and I can dress up in my alien outfit if you want to talk about, like spooky alien stuff, since now that people are arguing with Trump wanting to release a bunch of stuff. So just send me an email and let me know. Or if you're already in my Discord, just send me a DM. If you're on my X, send me a DM, whatever, and I will see what I can do. But hello, baby girl. Thank you so much for supporting me. I really do appreciate you. And well, hello, agent. How are you? Yes, I do have my own theme song. I was nice enough to find this band, and I share it on my stuff, and they're called Falling Mirror, and they had a song called Janet from Another Planet. I don't play the whole thing. I'm going to play that part. But it's really funny. It's cute, and I thought it fit really well. And I have another opening one, but I can only play a very small portion of it because it's I keep getting told that if I play it for too long, I'll get a copyright strike. So with somebody saying yes, they'll let me use it, and they haven't complained or anything, because I send them messages and ask them, and they seem very, very nice, and it's a fun song, and I really like it, and I'm thankful for them. But yeah, you can watch it, but it is mature, because some of the little stuff that you're going to see on screen and stuff is from the laptop. And if you did see some of the leaky stuff, it's got some pretty nasty stuff on it. And then we wonder why people are mad because of the all the stuff coming out with the Epstein files, and wonder why, we think any of these people are intertwined. Well, it's just so much nasty shit out there, and these people are disgusting. If you're an adult and you're with another adult and you want to do something, it's nobody else's business. But when you make it public by making videos and putting it out there, guess what? Your sex video or whatever is going to get seen by people. And then you thinking you can sue people, because they share your raunchy videos or whatever nasty stuff that you're doing. Well, that's kind of ridiculous. But, people do it apparently. But hello, Lloyd Christmas. Thank you for dropping in. I really appreciate you supporting me. You've been there for a long time. You've been in my Discord. You're just a wonderful person. And every day I'm proud that you're my friend, and you're a good son to your mother. And I really like that too. You're a sweetheart. But thank you for staying here and checking stuff out for me. But I appreciate it. Well, hello, Tree Rock Creations. You did watch his State of the Union address. Yeah, it was wonderful. I didn't get to watch all of it. I've watched little snippets of it. I've been in the middle of working on my basement, painting my counter, my countertops with the cabinets, and redoing my bathroom because I had a leak, and I ended up having to get a new tub, and it's just been a real hectic. And then, I got chickens, and I have work, I have a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to keep up with everything, but also maintain my shows to the best of my ability. And on my Friday Night Shit Show, I've had a lot of people that have been sick, hurt themselves, and they haven't been able to, or their animals are sick or something else. So I basically have been doing my show by myself, and Bruce is in the process of moving. So it's just been really hectic, but oh well, I'm a grown-up. I can handle it, doing stuff on myself. I'm not, and if people don't want to watch, I don't have a problem with it. I'm still going to do it. I enjoy talking about things like this, and I wish more people cared and voted accordingly. You know what I mean? If a person is a scumbag and you got evidence of it, why would you want to vote for them? You know what I mean? But if you go to the polls uninformed, you're going to vote for some loser, and you're not even going to realize it until after they're already in office. I mean, look at what New York's going through. I mean, they got themselves a real winner. But the sad truth is they voted for him, and a lot of them knew he was a socialist, communist, and they didn't care. But somebody has to pay for stuff. Okay, nothing is free, and that's what these people don't understand. They promise you the world, but they don't have money unless they take it from people like me and you that work. So, and why do we want to hand money over to people that don't want to work? They just want to sit around. I mean, this whole thing about shoveling snow for $30 or $40 an hour, and there's video out that I'll play tomorrow. It's a group of people. I mean, it's just like 12 people just standing around, and they're just poking this snow with their shovels, and they all have their vests and stuff on. But that's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars an hour that taxpayers are going to pay for these people just to wander around and act like they're shoveling snow. It's really pathetic. But I can't wait to see where they are in a few years, where they're all crying and complaining because there's poop and trash and everything just everywhere, and nobody's going to want to go out. And how much you going to pay someone to go and pick up poop, human poop and stuff off the sidewalks? I can't wait to see that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens. But before we get started, I want to play this. This is free from YouTube, and I want to play it so that everyone knows. Even though I have my own, I still keep getting sometimes told that, I shouldn't have played that, or you need to remove that, or whatever. So basically, I want to play this because I'm going to be talking about something that's been proven real. And many people got in trouble, had their videos taken down because we brought this up, talking about it. And because we didn't have evidence that it's been used in court of law now, that it's real, we were, misinformation or cyberbully or whatever it is. So I'm going to play this real quick. Okay, now I can stop. All right, now I'm going to bring up the first thing I wanted to share. Let's see, I think it's this one. No, that's not it. Darn it. Okay, I think it's okay. This right here. There is a video, but we don't have to play it simply because it's from CBS and I don't want to get a copyright strike. But the thing is, inside Hunter Biden's laptop obtains laptop data purportedly belonging to the president's son. This whole thing is that they're talking about it being data appears genuine, independent experts find. So more and more stuff started coming out, proving that it's shocking, honestly, that the FBI, as corrupt as they were and still are, still many of them are corrupt, didn't erase it or drop it in a pan of oil, or or some, who knows what, drop it and sit on it, or pee on it, whatever. But the fact that this little things like this started coming out was pissed off a lot of people, because people were bitching and moaning. I got so many reports against me for just talking about it. Hopefully I don't this time, because it's factual. Okay, it's not made up bull crap. The stuff on the laptop is real, and it's been used in a court of law to prove that he had drugs and other things and had a weapon, which is against the law. Basically, he had broke the law by having a weapon. So that is one of the reasons why I want to talk about this. And everyone is talking about, the Epstein stuff, and I've been talking about the Epstein stuff for a while, a long time, and I've been playing interviews, many interviews of some of the victims, saying if you just listen to the victims, you would figure out who the people are. They talk about it. But apparently people don't want to listen to the victims. And now the emails are coming out proving a lot of the stuff the victims were saying happened to them. Being used as science experiments and collecting their eggs, maybe using them to make clones or whatever, or just to make babies. It's disgusting, and more stuff that comes out. Hopefully, a lot of these victims will realize that people are seeing the truth, and the ones that are alive still, that didn't take their own life or die in a tragedy of some sort, will get to know that, people are figuring out that they were truthful, and what they went through, they didn't deserve. And hopefully some of the people that are left will start being prosecuted for some of the things that they've done. But yeah, I just wanted to share some of this stuff and talk about something that everyone else wasn't talking about, but that's real, and that you might not even know about most of it. So hold on, let me pull up the next thing. Let's see, is this it? Just this one here. Okay, I want to do this one first. It says the FBI and the CIA knew Hunter's laptop was real, and they knew it contained evidence that Joe Biden sold his influence to the highest bidder: China, Russia, Ukraine, and Romania. Sperry, FBI report reveals that the Bureau knew Hunter's laptop was authentic in 2019 and covered it up, and knew all about Joe and Hunter's shady Chinese business dealings in 2017 and did nothing. So I'm going to share this real quick. Let me open it up and push play.
In our investigation, we knew that the laptop was real. DOJ knew that the laptop was real.
FBI knew the laptop was real.
Yes.
Based on the notes of this October 2020 meeting, the FBI and IRS, when did they know the laptop was real?
It was many months before October 2020. We were confirming certain aspects of it, that it was real and legitimate, as far back as late 2019.
Why was the Hunter Biden laptop reporting suppressed in October of 2020?
There was various reporting of people saying that it's potentially Russian disinformation. And one of those people is the current Secretary of State. His name was in a lot of the emails that were turned over to the House Ways and Means Committee that were on Hunter Biden's laptop.
I mean, it was clear that it was a campaign to discredit that information before an election. Ultimately, I guess you can conclude that it was for the purpose of affecting that election.
When you heard dozens of former intelligence officials say the laptop had the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation, you knew that was false.
Yeah, and I mean, as a special agent, as a criminal investigator, and what I know, what I do, I don't know how they could have come to that conclusion regarding this laptop.
It was misinformation to try to make something else look like misinformation.
Yeah, I'm going to let me stop this real quick. I'm going to get this and copy it, and I'm going to share it with you guys in the chat so you guys can share that and actually go to their page and click on other things if you're interested, because there's lots of other information about it. That's what I like about it. I love sharing the links because I want people to actually go there, look at it. And I share all this stuff with my sisters, and sometimes they look at it and sometimes they're just like, they could care less. They get tired of listening to me. But I can't help it. I mean, a lot of this stuff just really chaps my ass of how much these people get away with. But this was another thing I thought was interesting right here. It says Hunter Biden cites financial woes and requests for federal judge to dismiss laptop data case. Biden's attorney said he has difficulty in finding a new permanent place to live, as well as finding it difficult to earn a living because his paintings aren't catching $100,000 anymore. Maybe if he painted him with his penis, or he sat on, bare-butted or whatever, stuff like that, and made videos, or even did a podcast and sat around and did some of the things he did on his laptop, maybe he would make some money. He could do it on OnlyFans. I mean, it's pathetic that we're supposed to feel sorry for somebody that basically got millions of people to vote for his dad because they, covered this up for him. Even when the video came out, it was dad saying, well, even when he was vice president and I think he was in Ukraine, and they were saying that they were going to, I don't know, arrest some guy that ran Burmista or something like that. I can't pronounce it, but they said they were going to, do this case. And he said, well, if they don't fire that guy, they ain't getting a dime or something like that. And it was a video, it went everywhere. And people still kept saying, oh, that wasn't real. That was fake. It was AI. That's what worries me about AI being out now, is the fact they're going to say everything's AI. Oh, that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. And the only way to make it authentic would be through a, like a professional that knows how to look at, this kind of stuff and tell you whether it's fake or not. Right. I mean, I don't know. All of this stuff is just sickening to me, and that we're supposed to feel sorry for these people. Well, I don't. I have friends down the road that live one check to the next. They're squeezed by on peanut butter and jelly for 3 or 4 days every week, while they're waiting for another check to come in because they got to pay their bills. And that's just to keep the stuff they have already. And then we're supposed to feel sorry for this guy that sells paintings and stuff for $100,000 and took millions and millions of dollars, and it constantly says, I have to have the big guy has to get his share and shit like that. It's disgusting. And then to see some of this other crap that they do that is on this laptop, it's pretty gross. And the fact that Hillary Clinton's number one woman, Uma Abedin or whatever, his husband's laptop, him sending, disgusting pictures of himself and his genitals to younger women, young girls, basically teenage girls, with his son laying next to him on the bed. It's disgusting. All these people are disgusting. And I want to see some of these people go to jail for some of these crimes, even if they don't go to jail for the underage stuff or whatever. If they go to prison for other stuff that they did. I mean, these people have done multiple crimes. And there's so much evidence out there. I want to start seeing some of these people prosecuted. I mean, they need to be prosecuted. How come with all the other stuff that I've seen, and I did a show like early last year or the year before when I first started doing this, with the guys that took all of this information off the laptop and put it in this giant manual for people to be able to go through it. And there's hundreds of crimes in there. Yet they only charge them with the one because I don't know. If it'd been you or I, we'd all be in prison right now, being assaulted on a daily basis or whatever. It's pathetic. It is so pathetic how we haven't seen justice yet, any justice. I mean, they arrested Comey and look what happened. They just threw it out because we got so many corrupt judges and crap. It's disgusting. I mean, honestly, I'm to the point where I think basically the only way we're going to see justice if we do it. If we do it ourselves. So if we just get a group of a whole bunch of hundreds of thousands of Americans from every state and then go to the state capitals and say, we demand some arrests or something, with picket signs or whatever. I don't know. I have no idea. I've never done anything like this, but it's to me, it's like we've got to start sending letters, phone calls or whatever to our state's people up in charge and say, hey, when are we going to start seeing something? We're working our asses off. We're paying our taxes. We're being good Americans and we're the ones getting the shaft. We're getting shafted for it. To me, it just pisses me. It just pisses me off so bad. And then let's see, what was the other one? Okay, now I'm going to present this really quickly. This is the documentary that we're going to play. This came out in 2024. So this stuff has been out for years. This is 2026. And I had a thing come across my timeline on X. I'm going to open that real quick while that's on there. Let me show you so I can share with you what I found. Oh, let me just make this smaller. Darn it. Hold on. Make this smaller. I think this will work. Hold on. Okay, it says stop sharing. Now I'm going to share this because this is what I saw on my timeline, and it made me excited and made me decide I wanted to do this because so many people I know, because none of my sisters have even seen it. So, but see, Kim.com, I don't know if any of you guys know who that is, but I'm going to share his, where is it? Give me a second. Oh, my notes are jumbly. Where is his stuff? Oh, here it is. I put it at the very top. Okay. I'm going to share his X profile, and you can go check it out yourself. He's got lots of different stuff on his profile, but he said, I paid so you could have it for free. It's a Hunter laptop documents or documentary, basically. And he said, shares freely. So I'm going to. And I want you guys to be able to see it and listen because it's very, very informative. And I'm going to share this link on here too. So anyone you guys want to share it, you can share it. Well, he paid for it. That's why it's not free. Kronos. That's right. We are going to watch this together because I haven't got to watch all of it. I've only watched some of it. But if you have any questions you want me to stop, so you want to talk about it, just tell me in the chat and we will pause it and go on through it. But basically they explain who they are and why they're doing, and why what they've got to talk about and why they're sharing it and all that kind of stuff. But it's really, really good. So here we go.
What we're doing
Film.
a film.
Yes.
So, and this is a documentary as usual because I'm documentarian.
I want to hear from you what this film is about.
The working title for the movie, it is Laptop from Hell. Did you familiar what is Laptop from Hell?
Obviously, I'm very familiar, and we are here to make all our audience familiar with that.
Yes. So, why Minsk?
Because we are interviewing some very special speaker that is in exile right now. You had a huge role into leaking sensitive information, facts of corruption involving the Biden families in this money laundering scheme. Regarding this point precisely, you helped United States start an investigation into Biden's crime in Ukraine by start collaborating with Rudy Giuliani.
Ну, на самом деле я не помогал Соединенным Штатам. Я помогал своей стране Украине расследовать коррупцию. Просто когда ты начинаешь расследовать коррупцию в Украине, ты попадаешь обязательно в историю, связанную с Соединенными Штатами. В этом вся проблема. И все обвинения в вмешательстве в выборы президента Соединенных Штатов – это вранье. Это же не мы пришли и устроили внешнее управление и коррупцию. Это конкретные Байдены, Нуланды, Кенты пришли к нам и устроили схему коррупции.
The UK Serious Fraud Office froze $23 million of a guy named Zolchevsky's assets. He was in charge of Burisma. On April 13th of 2014, Hunter Biden said the contract should start now, not after the upcoming visit of my guy, his guy being the Vice President of the United States.
He keeps lying and saying that there was no investigation of Burisma. That's a complete lie. On February 1st, 2016, prosecutor's office in Ukraine arrested Burisma. They took all the books. Phew, business stopped. What that generally meant was the government's coming for the whole business. This was Zlochevsky's nightmare.
Mykola Zlochevsky is the founder of Burisma Holding, which is one of the largest private natural gas producers in Ukraine. Burisma Holdings' revenue is hidden behind the web of offshore companies in Cyprus and the British Virgin Islands.
When the laptop popped out on the news, it was shocking. I tended to believe for a minute that maybe it was, some type of Russian disinformation, because that's what the media was feeding me. But then I looked, got access to emails and cross-referenced them with mine. I knew, sooner than anyone that the media was lying to us and that this was directly his laptop. And then there was the confusion and anger of why he would be so careless and disclose all of this information that was highly relevant to, our
Purpose of evasion.
And that I will
One thing I wanted to say about that really quickly is the fact that Hunter Biden himself took his laptop and another laptop to supposedly have them repaired at a repair shop, and then he just left them. And someone else found out about the laptops being there and notified Rudy Giuliani, and he's the one that paid to get them out or whatever. And he's the one that had, the people looking at it to find out about what was on it or whatever else, because it was abandoned. So it was no longer, in the hands of Hunter. I don't know all the details, but I remember a bunch of people getting, getting on to Giuliani about it and stuff. So hopefully they'll explain all of that. And I think I might have pushed it forward a little bit because that one guy was talking and I was trying to hit the pause button. So hopefully I didn't ruin it, but we'll see if I can get back to it.
faithfully discharge
And that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office.
I went backwards, so give me a second. I'm going to try to get it back up to where it was.
And repeat after me. I, Joseph R. Biden Jr.
Darn it. I'm going to have to minimize it a little bit so I can get it back to where it was at.
Do solemnly swear.
Said the office. It is.
Sorry.
Помогал Соединенным Штатам.
Charge of Burisma in April.
The government's coming for the whole business. The government's coming for the whole business.
There we
This
go.
was Zlochevsky's nightmare.
Mykola Zlochevsky is the founder of Burisma Holding, which is one of the largest private natural gas producers in Ukraine. Burisma Holdings' revenue is hidden behind the web of offshore companies in Cyprus and the British Virgin Islands.
When the laptop popped out on the news, it was shocking. I tended to believe for a minute that maybe it was, some type of Russian disinformation, because that's what the media was feeding me. But then I looked, got access to emails and cross-referenced them with mine. I knew, sooner than anyone that the media was lying to us and that this was directly his laptop. And then there was the confusion and anger of why he would be so careless and disclose all of this information that was highly relevant to, our lives. But it's an absolute embarrassment for an adult with a family and children to have been that careless. So it was almost like that was just like a bit of resentment was built on his absolute stupidity in that act.
The confidential human source has been a trusted informant for the Bureau for over 10 years and describes meetings and conversations he had with people from Burisma Holdings dating back to 2015.
We were lied to in the American public, lied to about the laptop. I don't think the Biden family story is that complicated. Son's making money. Son's company thinks everything's going dandy because they aren't getting prosecuted anymore. And then suddenly they get prosecuted and dad has to bail son out.
Assuming that there is a new government and a new prosecutor general, I am prepared to do a public signing of the commitment for the $1 billion.
Despite of the fact that we didn't have any corruption charges, don't have any information about he doing something wrong, I especially asked him to resign.
Now, there's something very important. I knew this to be true all along, but I eventually got the documents. It took me 6 years to get the documents. All throughout the Trump impeachment trial, government officials put their hands up and said, Joe Biden didn't change policy. The career recommendation of the task force, the Ukrainian Anti-Corruption Task Force, which was the Justice Department, State Department, National Security Council, and the FBI, they made recommendations in September and October of 2015 that Shokin, Victor Shokin, the prosecutor that ultimately gets fired because of Biden's pressure, was doing a good enough job. Last year, we made available documents showing that Joe Biden was told to do the opposite of what he did in Ukraine. These are very important documents. They were so important that Glenn Kessler, the fact checker at the Washington Post, had to reverse course and say I was wrong for 4 years. And he wrote a fact check citing our documents saying, turns out Joe Biden caught an audible. He did change the policy.
There was constant pressure to help geopolitics, both domestically with their law enforcement and then kind of on the global stage. So they always wanted Burisma to, be looked at favorably so they could avoid prosecution, persecution in the press, because as a good global citizen, you tend to have less interference.
Poroshenko fired me at the insistence of the then Vice President Biden because I was investigating Burisma.
First of all, this is the completely crazy person.
Right. What do you mean? He's not your friend?
I don't see him maybe 4 years or something.
Poroshenko was a massive crook. The only question is, did he take $100 million or $200 million? It's obvious if you look at the way the Burisma case was handled, this thing where it was on again, off again, on again, off again. Then he told Shokin, come on, start up the investigation of it. He was playing as Zlochevsky because he wanted to get the maximum amount of money out of him until Obama names Biden as the point man. What's the point man going to do? The point man is going to determine how much money they get. Zlochevsky wanted to save his business. The guy to bribe is Biden because Biden is more powerful than Poroshenko.
Joe Biden just wanted his son to get back into a good rhythm. He's starting on drugs. He just got kicked out of the Navy. What an embarrassment to the Biden legacy. You got one son who serves in Iraq, dies of cancer, and lives honorably, and the other son gets a chance to be a commissioned Navy officer and he gets kicked out for cocaine use. When Hunter Biden realizes that what he was being paid to do, protection, wasn't happening, Joe Biden has to step in, and I think that's why the firing of the prosecutor happens. It's obvious what happens.
Участвующих в разворовывании миллиардов денег украинских и американских граждан.
I'm a man of my word. And that now that the new prosecutor general is in place, we're ready to move forward in signing that new $1 billion loan guarantee.
Мы очень много уделяем внимания в этой истории Байдену. Байден один из элементов. Я думаю, что Нуланд, Виктория Нуланд, она не менее страшный персонаж в истории Украины, а может быть даже более.
And when some of the colored revolutions were going on, the Orange Revolution in Ukraine, and then the Lebanese Revolution, so that was very, very exciting. Revolution, so that was very, very exciting. So that was very, very exciting.
I would like to know your perspective as a visionary since early work with Ukraine on Fire, revealing Ukraine. Whoever watched your work can see the elements that led to this war and much more.
People bring the hell to my country.
This morning, Kiev awoke to the sound of gunfire.
Protesters behind homemade shields walking into live fire.
What we saw here today was a revolution. The second time in a decade, Ukraine has ousted its president, dealing a massive blow to Vladimir Putin's Russia.
Мы считаем, что украинское правительство пришло к власти демократическим путем.
Господин Байден говорил одно, а в Украине делали другое.
We, of course, never choose candidates in any country.
В посольстве Соединенных Штатов существует штаб, который управляет этим процессом.
As the Maidan crisis was getting more violent, there was a phone call that was intercepted. It was a call between the Assistant Secretary of State for European Affairs, Victoria Nuland, and the U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Jeffrey Pyatt.
I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience.
Questions of credibility are being raised after a private chat between two top U.S. diplomats was leaked online.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Okay, good. Well, do you want us to try to set up a call with him as the next step?
We, of course, never choose candidates in any country.
This is how it is. When you inserting yourself, projecting your power in some foreign country, you're also exposing yourself because you're not using like a universal force of projection power. Taking this guy and make him here. No. You send in Victoria Nuland, you send in others. Victoria Nuland have a conversation, they calling back and forth, so they exposing themselves. Believe nobody still tell that to the wide audience in the world. That's every time when the United States collude to make a regime change abroad, and it was more than 70 successful collusions. We are exposing ourselves, and they start hitting us back.
The lesson I took is that if you're against the ruling class of this country, you better believe that they're coming. I mean, I'm going to prison on Monday because of this, right? But it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't upset me. It's just part of the process. But they will not change. They're only going to change when they're forced to change.
So you had this remarkable phone call where you have these two senior officials of the U.S. government apparently talking about a coup.
Sullivan's come back to me, VFR, saying you need Biden, and I said probably tomorrow for an attaboy and to get the deeds to stick. So
Okay.
Biden's willing.
They remain very dedicated to achieving their goals.
Fuck the EU.
Victoria Nuland related to the neoconservative. So hawkish. But let's talk about Laptop from Hell. I choose this working title because I want to use these words what Steve Bannon tell to Rudy Giuliani. Actually, Emma Morris tell me this, how that's all happened.
Thanks so much for inviting me. My name is Emma Jo Morris, politics editor at Breitbart. I'm here today because I published a series of news stories 3 years ago in October of 2020 about Hunter Biden's now infamous laptop, also known as the laptop from hell, which is seen as some of the most scandalous reporting of the last decade. What was more scandalous than the reporting itself, though, was the fact that it exposed the unholy alliance between the intelligence community, social media platforms, and legacy media outlets.
I was not the first person that the hard drive was offered to. You know, I was the last person, in fact. I know that Rudy and Bob had tried, several other people. I think Steve Bannon had tried. It was just that I had the relationship with Cole Allen that we managed to get it expedited.
The computer repair shop owner who turned in Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop to the FBI now says he's on the verge of bankruptcy. John Paul MacIsaac claiming it comes after months of liberal intimidation campaign against him, telling the New York Post, quote, "I have been punished for my actions to set an example for anyone else that might try to blow the wrong whistle." Fox News contributor and New York Post columnist Miranda Devine is on the case in her book, Laptop from Hell, and she joins us now. So this really steams me because this guy, in fact, did a favor to the country. He uncovered all of this corruption, many of it having possibly national security implications, and he's harassed, he's got death threats, he's going bankrupt.
His life has been turned upside down. He, to this day, has not got his business back. He had to leave his home in Delaware and go to another state. He's been targeted by death threats and harassment by the IRS and various other agencies.
Its rogue element and its enforcement element is what we call the deep state. And a lot of people, including myself, did not come to that conclusion until actually seeing it. I used to say there's no deep state, they're in your face. When you're in the White House, they're in your grill.
So something has happened in the motorcade booth. Something, I repeat, has.
Trump's teaching us to expect the worst from people in government, when the truth is, they're actually some of our best.
I never imagined that a deep state was so corrupt and so effective that they could cut off a story like this, which was validated 50 different ways. Now, here's what I didn't know. I didn't know that the FBI had actually validated it 8 months ago.
They were spying on Rudy Giuliani's cloud at the time. Perhaps if they were watching to some messages between me and Rudy, which would have given them the idea that the New York Post was going to publish, was interested. You know, I said things like, don't give it to anyone else, Rudy, we're set. If they'd been doing their job, the FBI would have seen the email that came to Rudy in August of 2019 from John Paul Mac Isaac at the computer repair store. And that was a very voluminous and forensic email in which he laid out what he saw as the specific crimes and national security risks, particularly around Ukraine.
Manhattan judge has thrown out Rudy Giuliani's bankruptcy case. The judge found that Giuliani failed to provide the financial transparency required. Giuliani filed for protection after 2 Georgia election workers won a $148 million judgment in a defamation case after the 2020 election. Today's decision now paves the way for them to pursue his assets.
The absurdity of the number merely underscores the absurdity of the entire proceeding, where I've not been allowed to offer one single piece of evidence in defense, of which I have a lot.
Our country has devolved into a what the founders never envisioned is an empire. It's not that they're corrupt and they're a Praetorian Guard and the FBI is like the American Gestapo today. If they just had a level of competence and ability to get ahead of what the real problems facing the nation. If you look at from the cartels to the 9/11 to everything we're into, either intelligence or just on law enforcement, they're never where they're supposed to be.
45th president of the United States asked the man whom he believed, because Rudy was a lawyer and a politician.
I became famous probably putting the mafia in jail. So when I came in to his impeachment situation, 60% of the American people wanted him impeached. What I brought to it was a combination of being a lawyer and a politician.
Because he comes in with 2 machine guns to everything he does.
I mean, I agree. I mean, he is not the guy who is going to be brokering a good deal here.
He tried to see how things could be done rather than finding reasons for not doing them. The really good lawyers are those that spot the issues and then figure out legally how you can accomplish what you want to do.
It's time to make America one again. One America. There's no black America. There's no white America. There is just America. What happened to it?
So a big profile like Rudy Giuliani, who took down the mafia mob in New York and represented the great Donald Trump, once and a sudden is targeted, persecuted, and portrayed as an Ukrainian agent. Was it the result of a setup?
This is exactly subject of our investigation in this film.
In 2021, federal prosecutors in New York, an office Giuliani once led, raided his apartment in connection with his business dealings in Ukraine.
The man who, used the RICO statute to put away the 5 heads of the mafia is now, potentially the subject of a RICO action in Georgia.
And more, Giuliani is suspended from practicing law in New York and facing disbarment in Washington, D.C. for pushing election laws.
That's still going on. This is not go anyway. This is still here. They're suing Rudy for different case, but it is exactly the same campaign. Stop people to investigate corruption of sitting president of the United States, Joe Biden, and his family members. We're now talking not about Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, it is a character.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely is totally true.
What should people know about Hunter Biden that they don't know?
Like every single person that I've ever known, I have fallen and I've gotten up. I've done esteemable things and things that I regret.
In and out of rehab 7, 8 times.
Say it nicer to me.
I think this is a human question.
Yeah.
Do you worry?
No, but for real, let me say
Do you
something.
worry that all of this noise, even though it's just noise,
No, I
it's
don't
still
worry.
I have that hanging in my bedroom, and I really, I'm really lucky. I'm really lucky. I had great kids.
I think the president is a thoroughly dishonest man. Right to the core.
Hunter Biden is speaking about one of the strangest events in his train wreck life, his affair with his brother's widow.
A lot of people look at that and think, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Both of us had gone through the most incredibly painful loss. And it was out of love. And I thought that maybe that love would bring my brother back.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't work.
1, 2, 3, 4.
He shows up to Washington. They wonder why a crackhead is making millions from the Chinese government, why the grandchildren are making money, the ex-girlfriend, the brother's widow that was also a girlfriend. Everyone's on the Chinese payroll. And yet, I'm the one that did 50 hours of testimony before Congress. I mean, he shows up. He's being terribly treated. I'm saying, wait a minute, I'm the guy that did 50 hours of testimony for treason, so we understand. Treason is a crime punishable by death. Hunter can go there, nothing wrong. Why are you being mean to me? It's like a 40-year-old, 50-year-old baby.
I think Hunter Biden is a disgrace.
Everybody knows what character he is.
Everybody who was a client of this adultery site called Ashley Madison was hacked, and Hunter Biden's credit card details appeared in that hack. He blamed Russia. They blame Russia for everything. They blamed Russia for the laptop. I'm surprised that Russia isn't being blamed for Joe Biden's collapse on the debate stage.
A website that encourages people to cheat on their partners is reeling from a huge data breach. AshleyMadison.com executives confirmed this morning that their website has been hacked.
The Ashley Madison hack happens. And you know whose name was in the database? Hunter Biden. Not only that, his credit card was on file, pictures were on file, photos were on file.
Former Vice President of Sales at Ashley Madison. Evan, thanks a lot for being here. Appreciate it. All right, so it's still wildly popular after a data breach and a doc about it. Is that possible?
The company went down, but it's a comeback story. As a nation, we are capable from going from strong, structured, creative, powerful leadership on the world stage to becoming a collective clown show like the current administration, full of sycophants and incompetence, as demonstrated by the very questionable election of Joseph Biden. Biden, who in 5 decades of public service and never having a real job, never had a single successful policy decision, and has effectively destroyed the best of American society, leadership, and stability.
You're dealing with a set of just kind of cartoon characters that are like Merrick Garland. These are kind of clowns now, but they have massive power. And why is Crossfire Hurricane so important? Because it goes back to the railhead of who the professionals are. I'll tell you who are not goofballs. Who are not goofballs are British intelligence. These are uber professionals who are thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead. And it makes sense because the United Kingdom, even with the Royal Navy, is quite limited in manpower. You can understand how they control this vast empire with all the Mahan choke points and all the perfect places for commerce in the world. And that's why Crossfire Hurricane starts with and is initiated with, I think, interaction with MI5 and MI6, because the countries in, particularly in Western Europe and in the Middle East, they don't want the gravy train to end. We have $1 trillion defense bill where we're underwriting the elites in those countries' defense. They want the working class people in America for their tax money to go towards that, and more importantly, their kids.
But the world in its majority knows that a strong, focused, and capable United States is the best and last great hope for Western civilization and freedom for all people. Once we remove the treasonous elected leaders from office, impose term limits, and have a better vetting process for electoral candidates, ensure corruption-free elections, remove the federal government from our education system, enforce laws equally instead of benefiting the liberals such as Hillary Clinton, Hunter and Joe Biden, BLM, and Antifa, our nation will recover on all fronts.
I'm small, I'm little, I'm filmmaker. I don't do politics. I do films. But as a journalist, my goal, exactly the same, that's Robert Perry tell me that. My duty as an American journalist to inform Americans not about constructed narrative what mainstream media planted in their minds, but about what is going on for real in this country. In the United States already, not in Ukraine. This is why it's important for me.
The role of an American journalist, in my view, is to inform the American people as best you can what you're able to find out, and to not be afraid of the kind of attacks that come with that.
I mean, you wrote a number of things about the laptop issue, about Hunter Biden, all kinds of things. You wrote critical of the Biden family, the Biden business operation, the Biden brand, and all that stuff.
Congressman, I reported out the facts of the story.
You sure did. You sure did. You reported the facts. And then CBS fired you. Is that right?
My position was terminated.
We do know is they seized your documents. That's scary as well. And you talk about a chilling effect on the First Amendment. I don't know how it could be more chilling.
They call it journalism a profession for a reason, because it's about an informed electorate, and it's a cornerstone of our democracy. I can only speak for myself. When my records were seized, I felt it was a journalistic rape.
This is such an important aspect of democracy, being able to make sure that government and political leaders, business leaders are held accountable and that their secrets can be brought to light when they need to be. So just the fact that we're having this conversation, I think helps a lot to educate the public. If you think about how this country started, it was things like Thomas Paine's pamphlets that rose an entire country up to fight tyranny and become a country itself. And yet today, so much of newspapers has become myopic. We either analyze what happened yesterday or we write about what we think is going to happen tomorrow. And so few people are trying to find out what really is going on. What did the FBI discover? They discovered that they were my source. Not only on Russia collusion, which was kind of obvious from my reporting, but the early Ukraine stuff had come from FBI sources who had seen all this evidence. Hunter Biden's doing this and no one's prosecuting him. And they dumped that story on me. And it takes me months to get it because I'm very careful. I don't report things I know. But the government, very quickly after I began cooperating with the U.S. Attorney's Office, realized, holy shit, the whole theory of the case is wrong. Everything that Lev Parnas has told is wrong. We gave this stuff to him. My lawyer told me, it's like, he delivered the documents. Like, are you telling us we were the source for John's story? Like, take a look at the documents. That's when the government shut down the Rudy Giuliani investigation.
Now, the mafia was very difficult because for an organized crime group, even historically, no other organized crime group in America had ever achieved what I would call institutional integration with tentacles, like an octopus. Now, when you're dealing with the deep state that we're dealing with now, it's the mafia, I would say the mafia on steroids.
Yes.
So the mafia didn't have the CIA.
Absolutely.
The mafia didn't have an FBI.
That is a combination of law enforcement, a weaponized DOJ and FBI, a combination of different elements of DNI, the 17
intelligence agencies we have that cost almost $1 trillion a year when you really add it up, and the Pentagon and other aspects of the intelligence community that forms this kind of deep state, which is going to roll like they're going to roll.
В год выборов поразил цинизм, как с помощью украинской власти, с помощью НАБУ и Соросят влияли на ситуацию выборов в Соединенных Штатах. Я такого цинизма, честно говоря, давно не видел. И как, собственно говоря, пошла история с Манафортом и нашего расследования, как это все происходило.
Wanted to get Paul Manafort to say, whether it was true or not, that Trump was getting money from or giving money to Putin, which is completely crazy.
But how this will affect Ukraine in the long run?
Remember, Ukraine has all this evidence that Zelensky is covering up.
Leverage.
And Zelensky is the product of one of the most crooked men in Ukraine, a man named Kolomoisky. Kolomoisky was the head of Privat Bank. Privat Bank was the biggest money laundering bank in Ukraine. So Kolomoisky has amassed a fortune of $20 or $30 billion, laundering illegal payments for politicians all over the world.
Story was elevated by that Ukrainian oligarch, Igor Kolomoisky. He was upset. They fired him. They called and said, look, all your assets here. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And it will be all frozen, sanctioned and confiscated.
Я не буду разглашать подробности нашего частного разговора с Коломойским, но мне кажется, он понимает, Украина живет в других реалиях.
They said, no. This is our set. This is we working this movie here in Ukraine. Not you gonna be choosing who will be our lead speaker.
Kolomoisky continued his business activities, later moving to Switzerland. Zelensky traveled to Geneva in February 2018 to attend Kolomoisky's birthday party. In April 2019, RFE/RL asked Kolomoisky about his ties with Zelensky.
По зустрічам з Зеленським он у меня был на дне рождения в прошлом году в Женеве.
But by checking flight records, RFE/RL discovered that after that birthday party, Zelensky flew to Geneva another 10 times. Furthermore, after Kolomoisky moved to Israel, Zelensky flew to Tel Aviv 3 times between October and December 2018. It's not clear if the two men met on these occasions.
Do you believe Zelensky was ever genuine in his intention for the country? Or if yes, when and why did he switch?
Смотрите, никогда, начиная с 2014 года, политика на Украине или политики на Украине не были самостоятельными. И таких Зеленских было несколько на самом деле. Так же, как и сейчас существует несколько вариантов замены Зеленского, как отыгранного...
Same acting skills, though?
In the popular Ukrainian TV show, Servant of the People, he played another unlikely president. There's one really good reason why, even in peacetime, many wondered whether Volodymyr Zelensky had what it took to lead his country. His preparation for the job was pretending to lead his country.
Now I'm very popular in USA.
I have no doubts that he gonna fail. I know the man before. I know his qualities. He's not a president. He is not a statesman. And as my teacher, Oliver Stone, tell me, the politics, it's a game for the big, tough guys, not for the nice-looking people. Zelensky is a nice guy.
Zelensky's showbiz career was all comedy and light entertainment, including playing Paddington Bear in the movie franchise's Ukrainian release. Somehow, that path has led him to the role of wartime president.
Thank you very much. I welcome all who stand for common efforts, and I promise.
It's sorry, how he said before, how he sound before, how he sound now. Zelensky was doomed to fail from the very beginning, as well as Maidan and our doomed to fail sooner or later, better sooner, because then sooner that shit happened, then more Ukrainians will survive. all these people from first leadership of Maidan, what they did to Ukraine, this is unimaginable.
Why we're in Ukraine, I think, is even deeper than Biden skimming and taking money. There's something very dark about Ukraine, what went on in Ukraine, who was involved in it. I think over time, after I believe, stop the funding and President Trump helps to end the war, because Professor Mersheimer said 10 years ago that the elites in the West are going to lead the Ukrainian people down the primrose path to their own destruction.
The West is leading Ukraine down the primrose path. And the end result is that Ukraine is going to get wrecked.
Всю свою жизнь я прожила при войне. Мне 8 лет, я не знаю, когда мирное время, я не знаю. Взрослые дяди, которые строили войну, они должны ее прекратить. Она уже длинная, сильная. Надо уже как-то заканчивать с этим.
In your opinion, is Ukrainian and Russian people the same nation?
Я считаю, что да. 12 миллионов жителей Украины имеют родственников на территории России и Беларуси. То есть можно придумывать мифы исторические, можно рассказывать там альтернативную историю для молодого поколения. Но то поколение, которое застало период там Советского Союза, ранней независимости Украины, оно же четко понимает, откуда корни. Ну, вы с этим сталкиваетесь в Соединенных Штатах. У вас тоже происходит борьба со своей историей. Сносятся точно так же памятники, вычеркиваются имена. Кто-то пытается из консерваторов сохранять традиции и бороться, но, к сожалению, ястребы-глобалисты, для них, как и, собственно говоря, для коммунистов в определенное время, да, это важный момент, это борьба за революцию и победа революции пролетарской во всем мире, да. То есть придумывают какой-то миф, цель и стремятся к этой цели.
Obama moved us very much toward communism and socialism. Obama was trained for that by communists and socialists. I mean, nobody wants to tell you this, but I mean, he was trained by communists, as was Hillary. She was trained by communists. Saul Alinsky is a communist.
You know, you seem like a man who has no love or none of these feelings or anything.
I have a hell of a lot more love than you have because I'm willing to go out and get corrupted for it. I'm willing to fight for it. I'm willing to stick my life on a line on it. And you're just willing to stick around and talk about love and hippies and not do a goddamn thing.
Yeah, but that's not true.
But once an organization is established, once it is fighting its own battles effectively, then the Alinsky men will pack up and move on.
Now, Marxist political theorist Saul Alinsky, he understood, like Karl Marx, whose theories he sought to implement, that hate is one of those powerful of human emotions. People need little encouragement to hate. It comes natural to us. It's actually quite frightening.
Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. George Soros is the principal source of funds. The whole purpose of it is to make them powerful. Patrisse Cullors makes no pretense that she isn't anything other than a trained Marxist. She's already a millionaire.
Anarchists linked to Antifa came in for particular criticism.
There is a huge separation. You are racist. They're giving a speech about Black lives, but yeah, you want to destroy on behalf of Black lives, and now one person over there is Black.
So familiar for me to see that patterns in the United States when this happened in Ukraine, when the people choosing. And after that, they doing all the exactly same. They using exactly same developed in Ukraine technology of manipulation, media, and big tech.
That big tech was working closely with Democrats ahead of the election.
There was a lot of censorship, and a lot of censorship was, some of it was obvious, a lot of it was hidden. Important information has been withheld, which obviously was the case, in the infamous Hunter Biden laptop situation.
Now we need to start looking at Facebook, at Google. These now have become arms of the Democratic Party, arms of the Biden administration.
The Twitter files shared with journalist Matt Taibbi, who unleashed a long thread on the site, includes emails detailing requests made to Twitter to delete tweets from the, quote, Biden team. The reply would come back handled. It also shows decisions to remove links to the Hunter Biden laptop story and of officials blocking transmission via direct message, a tool usually reserved for extreme cases like child pornography. At the time, met with reactions like this.
Never before have we seen active censorship of a major press publication with serious allegations of corruption of one of the two candidates for president.
I don't think they should have gone as far as put him on the board. The idea of engaging him as counsel was enough, and we would have been able to not garner as much attention.
So we can summarize that for Burisma, that was a question of survival.
Burisma only survived
because of him.
Because of him, yes.
Now there are renewed questions about why 50 former intelligence officials signed this letter, suggesting the laptop story had the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation.
On October 19th, 5 days after the Post began publishing, Politico ran a story headlined, "Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinfo, dozens of former intel officials say." God, I can't even say that with a straight face, you know? Politico printed a letter completely uncritically from veteran members of the U.S. intelligence community, falsely claiming that the Post expose has, quote, all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. My God.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan.
They were later labeled as spies who lie.
Our federal agencies, those former intelligence officials, they had a far greater impact on the 2020 election. They interfered with it to a far greater extent than anything Russia ever could have hoped to accomplish.
You know, obviously Russia's been accused over and over again of interference in the 2016 election. As far as I know, there's no proof, and it hasn't turned up. But now in the U.S., there's been investigation going on about Ukraine's interference in the election. It was a very confusing situation. Poroshenko seems to have been very strongly pro-Clinton, anti-Trump.
Ну да, здесь секрета никакого нет.
Do you think there was interference?
Ну, я не думаю, что это можно трактовать как вмешательство со стороны украинского государства. Но точно совершенно украинские олигархи деньги передавали оппонентам Трампа. Делали они это самостоятельно, либо с ведома властей, я не знаю.
Were they giving information to the Clinton campaign?
Я не знаю этого, честно. Я говорю, не буду говорить того, чего я не знаю. У меня своих проблем хватает.
Yeah, I know.
Но они исходили из того, что госпожа Клинтон победит, и все делали для того, чтобы продемонстрировать свою лояльность будущим американским властям. Вот здесь ничего такого особенного нет. Пытались создать уже благоприятное о себе мнение у будущего президента. Поэтому они позволяли себе нелицеприятные выражения в отношении Трампа и всячески поддерживали демократов. Это никакой здесь секрета никакого нет. Они почти публично действовали.
Doesn't want to go any further on that. Doesn't have any information on it.
Вы знаете, ну, это было бы с моей стороны некорректно. Если я бы сейчас сказал более что-то конкретное, я должен был положить на стол какие-то документы, бумаги.
You understand that it has huge implications because Mr. Trump would be very grateful.
Я и тогда не вмешивался, сейчас не хочу вмешиваться, и в будущем на себя вмешиваться.
But that's a noble motive. Unfortunately, the world has degenerated in these 2 years to a place where all these backbiting, accusations, dirty fighting, anyway.
Вообще без правил.
No rules.
Бои без правил.
Donald Trump is in the building, and the former president getting a standing ovation from the assembled masses.
And the President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden Jr.
Say hello to Oyster Bunny. Come on up, Bunny. Get up here so they can see you.
Well, you had a sneaking suspicion that former President Trump would be in the building for UFC 302.
Don't tell mommy what I told you.
Back-to-back years for the UFC here in Newark, New Jersey. The fan response has been absolutely insane.
More than half the women in my cabinet, more than half the people in my cabinet, more than half the women in my administration are women. So the best way to get something done if you hold near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway.
I, Joseph R. Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With the idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, and I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
Truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
After the debates, Mr. Biden was asked how he thought it went.
I think he did well.
Joe Biden, when he announced that he was running, actually wrote a letter to the press specifically asking them to keep me off television. And I know why he did, because he knew that I had information nobody else had.
But hiding this type of information from the mainstream media isn't election interference?
Of course it is. It's completely criminal.
What you see on Fox and a lot of MSN, it's just pro wrestling. It's not relevant to what the real story is. The real story here is about concentration of wealth and power. And the top 1% now own 90% of the country. We have a capitalist system, or a late-stage capitalist system, with no capitalist. 90% of the people in our country have no skin in the game, no piece of the action. It's all been concentrated, and until you break the ruling class in this country, and you're going to have to break them because they're just not going to sit there and go, oh, this is a great idea, maybe MAGA ought to take over. They're going to rule this country with an iron grip.
It's a clear violation of the First Amendment for the government to be coercing private companies to censor Americans. You would hope that the Supreme Court does come down with a ruling that does protect free speech. So when you have a whole lot of judges who are partisan and are not treating Lady Justice with a blindfold, you get a corrupted system.
If somebody knows what's going to happen in Ukraine in the 30 years after this great event of independence, believe me or not, more than half will choose not to be Ukrainians. I'm still Ukrainian citizen. I still believe that war needs to be stopped. But war never stopping because I believe or not, you need to do something. What I can do to stop the war? I can help people to stop financing of this war.
Since 2022, Congress has directed more than $113 billion in aid in 4 packages to Ukraine.
The phrase implies that all of the money is going to Ukraine, but in fact, about 60% of it is spent in the United States.
More than half of the appropriated aid is allocated for U.S. military operations and weapons contracts. As aid in Ukraine looks to run out, President Zelensky has met with lawmakers in Washington to lobby for more funding. House Republicans have refused to pass the additional spending bill until they reach an agreement to increase security at the U.S.-Mexico border.
If President Biden wants a supplemental spending bill focused on national security, it better begin by defending America's national security.
The big concern is that U.S. weapons could end up in the wrong hands.
So far, Congress has given the Ukrainian government nearly $174 billion in munitions and so-called aid. Then you add another $60 billion that Joe Biden gave to Zelensky, and the total is over $230 billion. And that's just the money that was publicly appropriated that we can account for. There's a lot more than that.
But this is a different subject matter. Let's come back to...
So come back to just to the subject matter of this film, which is Laptop from Hell, which is a hell of a project, by the way. Don't you think that the criminals should be prosecuted rather than the whistleblower being persecuted?
We're not living in a perfect world. We're living in a real world. In the real world, people who's doing corruption sitting in the White House, ruling the country. In the real world, people who killing their own citizens sitting in a Bankova street in Kiev. They attempt to bring the justice, or even just to investigate that, to bring the justice, leading to horrible sanctions and you pronounce be wanted and etc., etc. This is not justice at all.
Are you afraid of being targeted because of that?
I'm not. What is better if they target me and kill me? I'm filmmaker, small one. It's 1,000 of us. We will still do our job. They will not kill us all. It's impossible. But until they will try to intimidate us, killing one of us. That happens all the time. They not succeed with intimidation.
Let's get back to Rudy Giuliani. How Rudy Giuliani got involved into exposing Biden corruption in Ukraine?
First of all, the great man.
Absolutely.
And the man who bring down 5 mafia family in New York, who actually make New York livable again. And New Yorkers will love him. Maybe not that New Yorkers would live in New York now, because it's a shitty place, sorry to say.
He came down on crime like nobody's business. A lot of people
New York is not
kind
the
of
thing.
criticized him because maybe he was too hard on certain groups of people, but it worked.
And I was a victim of the crime before he came in, so I know that crime was definitely up before he came in. And so he cleaned a lot of crime-ridden areas. He really did.
He left the city in very good shape. He handed the reins over to Michael Bloomberg. So in terms of being a mayor, I think he did a fantastic job.
But what Rudy did, why Rudy? Why exactly Rudy?
God gives you certain talents. Whether people will like to believe it or not, I have a complete dedication to justice. That's why I did what I did. I looked at things like the mafia or Wall Street, or I prosecuted 2 Nazi war criminals that had gotten away with it for 30 years. And I said, this is what I'm good at. This is what I can do. And I'm not going to let people frighten me from doing it. Otherwise, what good am I? Well, the same thing, I approached this case exactly the same way. Whether you like it or not, I volunteered to help Donald Trump because I felt he was an innocent man being charged with something that wasn't true. I have been proven right about that. That was the charge of Russian collusion. That has been proven 40 different ways to be untrue. I'm telling the truth about that. All these people that are going after me are completely lying about it. They're lying to the point that Hillary Clinton paid to create it. They used it to try to remove a lawfully elected president on false evidence, which they all should be in jail for that.
What's known about the source of the documents? They were apparently compiled by a former British intelligence official, Christopher Steele, who's director of a private investigations company called Orbis. One source tells the Wall Street Journal that the firm was hired to investigate Trump by both Republican and Democratic opponents. But to this date, no one has been able to verify them.
It is absolutely clear that the individual who produced this dossier has not worked for the UK government for years.
For legal purposes, they've become quasi-government agencies, big tech and the media. They just run off Democrat talking points. Who put it together? Clinton administration originally put it together. And over the years, it's gotten better and better. And then negative force affected it greatly when Trump became president, because they were afraid for their lives when Trump became president. They were afraid for their lives because he was the one candidate they couldn't control.
They wanted to get rid of Donald Trump, the president, because to them, he was an existential threat to them and their power and their unlimited control over American foreign policy. He's not a puppet of the blob. He does not do what the CIA and the Pentagon tell him to do, like Joe Biden does. Joe Biden has no agency. He is brainwashed from his earliest days in the Senate to be on their side, to be a puppet, to do what they want. Most presidents just go along with what the blob wants.
People have to understand, hopefully in your film, the use of terms Republican and Democrat are just, that's pro wrestling down the front, and that is to divide us. You have a ruling class in this country that rules by money and technology. It is Wall Street, the City of London, and Silicon Valley, okay? They have court jesters in Hollywood, in the media and all that, and they have up here a uniparty. It's elite merger.
How can any attorney general, any DA with a straight face go after Trump on these charges?
Because they have the majority of the press on their side, and they don't get held accountable.
how it was from the perspective when you publish in the Watergate story is nobody picking up. How do you feel?
Well, I think what was really shocking was the fact that within hours of our story going live, we kept it till 5 a.m. rather than the usual publishing the night before online. Within hours that morning, Facebook and Twitter censored the story. They throttled it. They said that Facebook said they needed to do fact checking on it. They never did any fact checking. Twitter described it as violating their hacked materials policy. And that reflected the lies that they'd been told by the FBI about a hack and leak operation, which looked exactly like our story.
Republicans do not want an open process where Americans can see their tactics, expose their baseless inquiry, or hear what I have to say. What are they afraid of?
I'm not afraid of you.
Why not testify now, sir? Why not testify now?
Hunter Biden walked out of the hearing just as Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene began to speak.
The question there is, what are they afraid of? What are they afraid of?
Can be that even slight probability that he even unconsciously he won't that laptop go out.
I think that Freudian theory is very possible that Hunter Biden, who was feeling extremely angry at the time he abandoned his laptop, did do it subconsciously as a way to spite his father. He loved his father, but he was also resentful of his father. Hunter himself was designated as the bag man to go out and do the dirty jobs to make money for his brother and his father so they could pose as, honest politicians who weren't very wealthy while having a Rolls-Royce lifestyle. He felt that he was being disrespected by his father and his father's campaign staff, that they had thrown him under the bus to the New York Times and had portrayed him as a drug addict who was a problem for poor Joe and a sort of an albatross around his neck during the campaign, someone who had to be managed. Whereas in Hunter's mind, he'd supported the entire family for 30 years.
I never thought they'd cover up the hard drive. I never thought they'd be able to censor the New York Post.
But not just the media, the entire apparatus of the attorney generals, of DAs, of the entire legal community basically has suppressed this.
Yes.
And likewise, what is the logic if you look at those cases, right?
I don't think I think it would be simplistic to think there's one logic, that there's one thing that runs through it. I think it's a group of motives and they all come together with the same answer. You have communists who are doing it to try to overthrow our government.
Elites of the government, who are the kind of the mandarins in the administrative state, in the deep state, merge with state capitalism. It's a system, and this is why our engagement with the Chinese Communist Party after Tiananmen Square with the Bushes. The argument was the more they see capitalism, they're going to become more liberal democratically. Well, the exact opposite happened. Our elites took their model, which they said, hey, this model kind of works, where you have major, large state capitalists controlled by a central autocracy, and then you have a semi-feudal situation below. The United States has essentially become closer to what the Chinese Communist Party run China than it was about them becoming liberal Jeffersonian Democrats. And this is the system we have today. And that system rejected they thought that Trump in the Trump movement, in the America First, remember it's MAGA and America First, that America First, their heads blow up, they go, this will unwind everything. That's why they had to take out Trump, but particularly then take out the top lieutenants. They figured if we can take out Trump and his top lieutenants, this thing will just collapse and they'll start watching Fox News again and believing what Rupert Murdoch's telling them.
You did serve your country in the U.S. Navy. You're now being betrayed and persecuted by your country.
Our country, the guys that listen to you and support you, we're being oppressed by an illegitimate regime that usurp power here, and that's what we have to break. Now understand that this is a war to the knife, right? We have to win this. If we don't win this, this country is going to devolve into some kind of neo-Marxist totalitarian regime, of which it's pretty far down the road right now. That's why you have to understand We're in a political war, in an information war, and you got to start fighting like you're in a war.
But Marx makes it very, very clear that one of the things you want to do is overthrow the criminal justice system. I mean, they've done a pretty good job of overthrowing our educational system already. You can see it in the streets. They've done a very good job of taking kids away from parents. When a child can be mutilated without the permission of the parents, you're talking Karl Marx. I mean, you're talking Nazi Germany. So this is another in destroy the United States. So we become part of the Soros one world,
Yes.
the Klaus Schwab one world, which they think they're going to control. And lo and behold, China's going to control it. And the first group China's going to kill is them, if you read the history of communism. So that's that group. Then you have the group that is just straight out now, they're making a fortune.
And at this moment in time, our country needs us. And we need people like George Soros, who is fearless and willing to step up when it counts. So please join me in welcoming George Soros.
I am basically there to make money. I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do.
Other issues concerning all of humanity, fighting pandemics and climate change, avoiding nuclear war, maintaining global institutions, have had to take a backseat to that struggle. That's why I say our civilization may not survive.
We're saving the planet. We'll see. I don't think so. It doesn't look like it to me. And this is the most catastrophic issue here. And I look at that and I think, oh, I see. It's just like George Orwell said about middle-class socialists 50 years ago. It's not that you love the planet, it's that you hate humanity.
Yesterday, Musk launched a baseless Twitter attack against George Soros, the progressive Jewish philanthropist who's often the target of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Musk tweeted that Soros reminds him of Magneto, a comic book supervillain. Both, of course, Soros and Magneto are Holocaust survivors and Jewish. Musk's reply, he wrote, Soros does not have good intentions and, quote, wants to erode the very fabric of civilization. Soros hates humanity.
Have you ever met George Soros?
I never have, no. I only experience I have with George Soros is his ex-wife, who somehow was on the board of the Brooklyn Museum when I took away funding from them because they had an exhibit.
A depiction of the Blessed Mother adorned in elephant dung. The art, entitled The Holy Virgin Mary, has a new home. A billionaire hedge fund manager and art collector who purchased the painting years ago has donated it to the Museum of Modern Art in Manhattan.
You know, it was really an anti-Catholic thing. You would never get away with it if it was an anti-Jewish or, you know, anti-Islamic piece of art, so to speak.
Supporting protesting Catholics during that time was then New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani.
I took away public funding, and I said that if you want to do that, you got to do it with private money.
They would never do that to Muslim.
In Ukraine, right now, tonight, Christians are being persecuted by the state we're paying for.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says he's moving to impose limitations on religious organizations.
For the crime of belonging to the wrong religion, priests are getting thrown in jail. Churches are being seized by the government. So it's very hard to get information about what is actually happening in Ukraine because the big media outlets lie about it assiduously.
There is not a hint of democracy. The country is run by an organization called the SBU, the secret police. It is rare to feel the level of oppression and fear. And I've never seen parliamentarians as cowed and as frightened as I saw in the Rada of Ukraine.
Для того, чтобы устроить эскалацию, конфликт, они заходят за все рамки возможные, которые только существуют. Им почему-то кажется, что нужно разорвать все скрепы, влезть в церковь, влезть в душу. Для Deep State и демократов это была история, навязчивая идея, обязательно расколоть все скрепы, побороться с историей наших трех народов Украины, России и Беларуси. Для Зеленского это, опять же, поставленная задача, которую он реализует со стороны своей. Но, тем не менее, церковь же стоит, люди молятся. Это миллионы людей. Церковью руководит не Порошенко, даже не патриарх или какой-то митрополит, а Иисус Христос. Поэтому для них, для всех наступят рано или поздно определенные последствия.
This Biden thing didn't happen overnight. This has been a while. How did it happen? Who knew about it? What has been happening? Who's made decisions? What's been going on with this entire thing? You have to make this process so the American people throw up in their mouth as they search for the Messiah and then have the honeymoon. And the way you have to do it is toxify it now. That stink sticks to them.
Donald Trump didn't, I guess, know enough. And because there's so many layers upon layers of treachery and sabotage involved, it's taken a long time to unravel the Russia hoax. 4 years, pretty much. It's taking as long to unravel what happened in Ukraine, and really that Donald Trump was impeached for Joe Biden's sins.
Our resolve is unbroken and our purpose is unchanged to deliver a government that serves the American people better than ever before. Nothing will stop me in this mission because our vision is righteous and our cause is pure. No matter
Well, I thought that was very informative. And I thought they did a very good job at just stating the facts of different things that were linked to the laptop. And I do believe that Hunter was really messed up on drugs and has a lot of emotional problems just because of who his father was. And that's one reason why somewhere back in the back of his head, he just thought it might help heal him to get even with his dad. And kids do that to their parents when they're angry or upset with them. We just recently had somebody murder their parents in their bed, an actor and his wife, from Hollywood, and he was a director also. His son murdered both his parents, and it's sad to see that, the downfall of our society when it comes to the family dynamic, right? All of this is interconnected on how our country basically is collapsing with lack of morals. We have no morals anymore. It's like nobody cares about anyone else and what happens to them, what their struggles are. And if you're in a church and you don't agree with something the pastor says, half the church ends up just saying, fine, we'll leave, and they start their own church. It's like nobody just reads the Bible anymore. It's just the same with the Constitution. Nobody wants to follow the Constitution because if there's something in it they don't agree with, then nobody should have it. You know what I'm saying? It's I don't know. I just see a narcissistic society basically rising up. it's my way or the highway. And if you get in a position where you can have say, you push your weight around. I mean, look what happened with Twitter and Facebook. And then you had the leader of Facebook basically go before Congress and say he was forced to do it. Why? How did they force him? Did they threaten his family? Did they threaten to take his money from him? I mean, what were they doing? And how did that hurt our country? When you have giant corporations like Twitter and Facebook and who knows how many other groups. I mean, look, Facebook, Twitter, Google, and a few other groups were involved in taking Parler out because they didn't like that Parler stood for freedom. And a lot of people were leaving the other apps in droves to go to Parler, and they just pushed their weight around and pushed them out of the way. And then when they came back, they weren't the same because now they were owned basically by the people that took them down. They said, well, if you say this, if you do that, blah, 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 you're gone. And they won because the people gave up and bent over and grabbed their ankles. So are we going to grab our ankles and just start taking it, whatever they dish out? Okay, it happens for some reason. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to fight as long as I can for our Constitution. Because to me, I believe in that. That's why I believe that every person that's born in this country as an American citizen has the right to own their own home and what's in their home, and that the government doesn't have the right to go in unless they have a warrant. And we have laws for a reason, and we need to follow the laws. And when some people here or there can just do whatever they want and never be punished for it, how are you supposed to control the rest of us? Because sooner or later, the rest of us are going to say, I'm fed up. I'm not listening to you anymore. You have no say over me. And once we do that and we take back our states, the Constitution belongs to us. And it is taking a long time. It has taken a long time because we helped, though, the American people that voted for this new government believed in what we thought was going to happen. And it's happening. It's happening slowly. Why? Because our president is having to do most of it with an executive order. He doesn't have the backbone of Congress that rode on Trump's shirt tails, basically, to get in office. Oh, America first. This is what the people want. We're going to close the border. We're going to do this. We're going to start putting people in prison for fraud and blah, blah, blah. And we can't even get them to back the president for the SAVE Act to not let illegals vote in our elections. It's that simple. And they don't want to do that. Who has so much money that they can push around so many people in the government think and make us think that they care about what's best for us and they want to follow the Constitution? No, they don't. They're pushing against us. They're pushing us away instead of backing us. We put them in office, and guess what? The elections are coming up very quickly, and anyone who's not supporting what we voted for, which is closed borders and for people to be arrested and put in prison when they break the law and go to court and not get this when you rape and murder people and get put right back on the street to rape and murder more people. You know, And we got to hold people accountable in your state. Is your sheriff doing his job? If he's not, get rid of him. Put in a sheriff that will do their damn job. Put a mayor in that will do their job. Put people in office that will do the job that you voted them in for. If you broke the law, do you think they're going to just give you a slap on the wrist? Probably not. So why they pick and choose certain people is because the people that are sending them whatever special money or gifts or whatever, told them, oh, I don't want that person arrested. I want that person out. Because they don't think it's going to be their kid or their wife or their dad that's going to be murdered by that person. Because they don't care about your family members dying or being stabbed to death on the subway or run over by an illegal truck driver that shouldn't even have a license because he can't even speak English. But yet their kid's not the one that's going to die on the interstate because they don't care about your state. See, that's what you got to start looking at. What are they doing for you? And keep them in office if they're doing what you voted them in to do. If they're not doing what you voted for, get them out. We deserve it. We are the ones paying the bills. When you own a house and you're paying the bills, you get to pick and choose whether you want that internet or that TV service, right? You're the one paying the bills. You make those decisions. You are paying for the food that comes in your house, your electricity, your insurance, and everything else. So you should have to say what goes on in your house. Well, guess what? America's our house and we're paying the bills. So we turn off the money and they'll start doing what they're told. I mean, honestly, think about it. If our Congress got paid the same that our veterans make, or got the same, let's say, just health care, make sure that our Congress only gets the health care that our veterans get. They shouldn't get anything better than that. They don't even work as hard. They work 6 months out of the year, maybe, if that. And when they just say here instead of yay or nay, because they don't want to vote, they don't want their name stuck to something to prove that they either voted against us or they voted for us. Because look, they got to fight with all these other people. It's bullshit. When they're running for office and they say they're going to do this, that, and the other, hold them accountable by voting their ass out if they don't do what they're supposed to, or hold them special elections, get rid of them. You can do that. If you get enough of your friends and family and people in your state to follow you, you can do it. Numbers matter. Look, we outvoted Hillary Clinton, and boy, was she pissed off when she realized all the cheating didn't help her. So they had to take weeks and weeks and weeks to get enough ballots to beat Trump the time that when Biden supposedly got in office. But if you get all the ballots counted in one day, that wouldn't have happened. See, we're letting them swipe the floors with us. Every time I've ever worked the polls, we were able to count hundreds of thousands of ballots in one night. And we stayed until we were done. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. All I know is that the only way to win is to have the truth and to have the facts. And honestly, if you have a spouse that cheats on you, do you trust them anymore? Do you want to stay in that relationship with someone who cheats? If you say no, then why would you put up with it with your mayor or your sheriff or your governor or your state representative if they cheat and lie to you? Why would you put up with that? So I'm just saying, if you're a good person and you do your job and you follow the law, you deserve respect. Demand respect. Don't give up. Keep fighting for what we have. That's all I wanted to say. But thank you very much for hanging out with me tonight. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you for joining me.